And there it is, gang. Welcome back. It is Sunday, which means it's 1:30 in the afternoon, which means it is Sunday Night Teacher Talk. And so what we're trying to do is create a safe space for educators, would-be educators, meaning not like that. Someone asked me this one time. They're like, what is a would-be educator? Like someone that's trying to be an educator, but they're not. And it's like, no, they're folks that are like in college, in high school. They're dreaming and scheming already with the hopes of becoming an in-person educator one day. And so what we're trying to do is create that space for you to figure this out, because maybe last week didn't go so well, or maybe it went great. And so that's, maybe that's a whole conversation. So a couple of things I'm thinking about on the front end here before we jump in. If you have a question, you could put Q or question in the chat. And one of the things we're going to do this week, just to kind of like show love to the folks that are loving us, is if you put your question attached to a super chat, if you're on YouTube, that gets you bumped to the front of the line, because we want to make sure that we're like really giving to those people that are giving like that, right? So I appreciate it. So last week I did a live last Monday that was a mini PD on back to school, like on parent teacher conferences. And I got this really funny, because it didn't get the views that like most of my videos do, which is fine, right? Zero interest in like vanity metrics, right? I do want to get a play button one day, but that's just so my son. I just want to impress my 15-year-old.
Right, that'll totally do it.
The only reason I want to have a play button is so I can, and I'm almost there.
But that will be such a highlight for him.
It will. It will finally. He'll be like, "You did something I approve of."
He's like, you made it.
Yeah. so that's the only reason I want to do it. However, I think it didn't get as many views because folks didn't know about it, because YouTube has been setting stuff up. But somebody put on the comments that, well, I can't believe how many regular viewers got scared off because PD was in the title, which I just thought was funny, because it is professional development. I'll tell you, folks, I don't go to them. For a long time, I fake phone calls. I get an imaginary phone call every single time I'm in professional development. I'd say about 98% of the time. And then I go to the back corner, I hit the elevator button, I got on the elevator, went up to the first floor, and went to my classroom and did work or helped students and actually did stuff instead of that. I don't encourage that behavior. I'm just saying that's what I did. So with that in mind, and because what happened was YouTube changed the layout if you go on mobile or on a desktop. And so I don't know that I can really show you that in an easy way here.
He basically just put everything in categories instead of having like one feed, like your own, like whatever video, whatever short, whatever live, it's all on the homepage, right? It used to be, and now they categorized it. And I was like, where is everything? I just happened to notice. I don't know when they changed it.
On there.
Yeah, it was very strange. So like, if you want to see a live, you have to go hit the live tab.
So I think I can do this real quick. Not that it's really important. I just kind of wanted to try something. But anyway, there's can I share this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even. It's not even worth it. But anyway, what they do is they have like your home screen, then there's videos, shorts, and lives are all separated, and posts and stories and stuff like that.
Playlists and community. There's kind of a lot of tabs.
There's all these different lists. So anyway, because of that reason, I'm going to not do a live tomorrow. I am going to drop a video at 11. So what I'm going to do is shoot it at 10 and then drop it at 11. And so the idea here is that we're doing every week, every Monday, trying to like bless your week with a little bit of goodness, right? There's going to be some sort of like, hey, here's a problem that I'm seeing a lot. Most of the time they're in our Facebook group. I go in the Facebook group, I see what's going on, I drop the PD. And so it's going to be real world practical tips that are only supposed to be 10 or 15 minutes long. But I have a really hard time doing 10 to 15 minutes long. So, which is funny because I got, I'll talk about that later, but I have an opportunity coming up. So anyway, if you're not in our Facebook group, it's a really great place to get connected with other educators, especially if you're from like, if you're in a specific situation, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just funny to me, like where we get pockets of people. Sometimes I'm interested how that kind of works out. So our number one audience is in the US, then it's Canada, then it's Australia, Then it's Jerusalem, which is, I love. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never been to Jerusalem. I would love to go, but it's just so wild to me. It's never lost to me, rather, the reach that the internet allows people to get. And I'm happy to be a part of Jerusalem. So it's incredible. Wife, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, we got a lot.
And then we're going to talk about, I have a bunch of stuff coming up that I want to share with people. So let's kick it.
All right. Sherry is up first asking, what are/were your favorite meals to bring for lunch? Also, what is your favorite coffee? Both you and the lovely wife.
So one, I'm going to tell you this thing. I just bought, this is my Christmas Village mug from Philadelphia. So I'm not a coffee snob. I wish I could just use a coffee machine. It would make my life a whole lot easier. But we use a French press. But dude, I got a French press from IKEA. This is not affiliate link or anything like that. I got a French press from IKEA. It allows you to make 1 cup of coffee, and it's awesome. So we like grind our coffee and put it in a French press and stuff like that. And so because it tastes better, but it's stronger, and it just makes you go bam. You're just awake when you drink it. So that's coffee. My favorite mediocre coffee is Dunkin' Donuts. I used to drink it at school every day. It was part of my daily routine. I would just go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a medium coffee every single day. It is my favorite mediocre coffee in the world. And then for lunch, look, I'm always trying to buy back time. I'm always trying to steal time back. So my lunch when I was a kid, I eat either peanut butter and jelly or ham and cheese I'm from Philly. So we had a tasty cake in there, and then I usually had milk for lunch because it was the 80s and we thought that was fine. So my point is that I ate the same thing for lunch every day, right? I ate the same thing for breakfast. I ate Eggo waffles for breakfast every morning, and a giant thing of chocolate milk because we were all about health in the Reynolds house, and a giant thing of chocolate milk for breakfast every morning. And so as I got older, I was like, why am I trying to figure out like what to bring at lunch? So I just made it the same thing every day. So my breakfast was a smoothie, with certain stuff in it that's just going to just give me goodness. It was gross, and now it's grown on me. For lunch for so long, it was one of those pre-made salads that you get at like basically every food store now. They're like the small pre-made ones. The only problem with that is there's so much packaging. And even if you're not like a Save the Earth person, it is like you just look at all the garbage and you're like, man, this is a lot of trash for a salad. So, but it was so convenient. And then I eat RX bars because they tied me over. And then I drink a lot of water at school. And so that's my lunch every day for 5 years, 6. I think everything is 2 years. In reality, everything in my life is like 2 years.
You were eating that because I can't get you to eat a salad now. You're like, no, I don't want a salad.
No, because I had them for so long.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So lunch is a whole new thing, but we're home, so that's different. But
I stopped enjoying lunch a long time ago. It's really fuel. I just fuel myself. And then I enjoy dinner. Breakfast is fuel, lunch is fuel, and then I eat something delicious for dinner most of the time.
Yeah. All right. You ready for another one?
Cool question.
Noah is up next asking, when will you restock the bubble microphone? I've wanted one for a year now.
All right.
Quick update. Quick. Don't make it forever. There's lots of questions.
I am working with a company right now where we are. Oh man, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag on this a little bit. We're getting bubble microphones made by like the 1,000. We sell out of them every single time. I had to hand make them before. Now we are getting them made, colors locked in, the bubbles locked in, packaging locked in, labels. I mean, it's going to look professional. If it all works out right, we are also manufacturing hands on a stick that are going to not be all made out of wood. It's going to have like a telescopic, like a extendable arm on it and stuff, dude. And that's just the beginning. Then we're getting, can I tell them about the hands?
Sure, yes.
And then we're going to get I have these tiny hands.
These are all coming up.
The weird thing about these hands, they only come in white, right? So if you are an educator of color, you can't it looks even weirder because you have little tiny white hands coming out of your shirt when you do this with them. Like, so this is what I do, right? Looks like me. But we're going to have them made in all different skin tones as well. And those are coming. So all that is coming.
as quick as we can.
As quick as we can, because I have to order them and in mass, and there's a lot of like weird logistical things that we didn't know. Like when you order things with bubbles, has to have a warning label, and there's like it's a new world that we're getting into. But I am working on it diligently. This literally like the only bubble my guy have left is over here, and it's not even fully painted. It's half orange.
All righty, you ready for another?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Just Julie asking, how would you handle a student who has been suspended for 3 months homeschooling for sexual misconduct with charges pending coming back to school? His victims are in his classes.
So first of all, what are we
goodness.
doing? Like, how is this a thing? For a number of reasons, right? Victims being in a classroom with someone that is like either assaulted them or is being charged. It was like what do they say all the time? Because you can't say if someone was charged. It was like,
oh gosh, you put me on the spot.
Allegedly, right? Like those allegations there. Putting those folks in class together and having the person that did it, how are they supposed to heal? How are they supposed to learn better? How are they supposed to grow from this experience when you're putting them back in that scenario? It's like, this is a bad idea all around. This is something that I would literally go to my administration, because I know there's laws around certain things, and there might be like, there are probably things at play here that I am not familiar with. However, what is technically right is not always right in reality. It doesn't really help people. It's like, are we covering our butts, or are we doing what's right for kids? So for me, as like just as a classroom educator, meaning I am not someone that has policy and procedure. Marley's knocking on the window. It is hold on, I'm getting distracted. So it is, to me, it's thinking about things like what's going to give that kid the best, but all those children the best opportunity. So where are we sitting? How are we talking? What do we do if something goes down? What do we do if someone needs space? What do we do if someone's feeling overwhelmed? Do their parents know? I just like, there's a lot of factors at play, but I would really have a plan in place that has something to do with what are we going to do if something pops off, if someone's feeling upset. So we're keeping all parties safe. And that doesn't mean that something just like crumbles to the ground, or someone gets into a fight, or starts yelling at one another. It's like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling awkward, how are we going to navigate this stuff? And so that has to be a team decision. I would take it to the team, and like, even if they don't want, like, make sure that everyone feels satisfied with the answer, because sometimes we put measures in place that are not that are not good enough for everyone. Why did my thing just pop off? Am I still on?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I don't know what happened. I had a whole nother thing pop up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You're still good here. All righty, you ready for our next question? Yep. All right, John Fox is up next asking, admin keeps reminding teachers to make sure that if we're ever out, have someone else cover our lunch duty, bus duty, etc. Shift that day. I feel like this should be admin's job. Any advice?
Yeah, it should be admin's job, John. So, I remember. Now, look, I'll say this. If I'm going to be out, I have tried to get friends to cover for me, and then I will in turn cover for them. So it doesn't just go to anyone. So what we found out last year, one of the many things my school was doing wrong last year was we found out that, they got rid of substitutes. And so teachers were covering one another's classes, something we used to do. We got brought in substitutes, and then we went back to having teachers cover. But when you were out, like you said, if you had a duty, if you had lunch duty or bus duty or whatever, you had an after school program, they wouldn't just cancel it. You had to they would pull somebody else in. But what we found out was happening was that they weren't pulling from the entire staff, because there were certain people that they didn't trust to be in rooms with students So I would wonder why I was getting like eight coverages a week. And so that's every prep for 4 days, 2 a day, that I was going and doing someone else's job. So I just started handling it with my friends and saying like, yo, if I'm going to be out, can you just cover this class and I'll do this for you, and things of that nature. And then that was what I did on the front end. And then it was going to admin and having this conversation. And I wait till there's the big meeting, right? I want to know, excuse me, this seems like it's not like my job's to teach. My job is not logistics, right? So that is, I think it's getting real clear. I think this is just a lesson for teachers. Teachers, it's really important to get real clear on what is actually your job. And when we do that, when we learn that our job is to teach, right? My job is like the idea that I would be doing a ton of extra stuff is just silly. And not because I'm trying to get out of work, right? It's because I had a counselor one time at school tell me that, you guys complain all the time. You just teach 40 or 50 minutes, like 5 times a day. That's all you do. And it's like, I don't know where you're coming from. In what world is that all I'm doing? Because I'm here early and I'm with kids and I'm tutoring and I'm grading and I'm preparing and I'm creating exciting lessons for students that make them want to come to class. But as soon as you take me out of that planning period and then you put me in 8 different classrooms during the year or during the week, and then I was observed, I think it was 13 times between September and Christmas of last year, right? So now you're going to come in and observe me all the time. So I don't have that planning period to do it with, and I certainly am not taking work home. So to me, it was like coming up with, it was, here's what it was. And this sounds a little rough. I'm going to try and say it as nicely as possible. It was training our administration, which was brand new administration. No one had ever had a leadership role at the capacity that they were with. So it was 6 principals in 3 years. This was a brand new principal, had never been a principal before, a brand new assistant principal, never been an assistant principal before, brand new CEO. So it was letting them kind of know what was doable so that I could, not to get out of work again, so I could do my job well. So I could do the thing you hired me to do well. And so I say all the time, like, if a doctor's in the doctor's office, and there needs to be new lines painted in the parking lot, they don't go, hey man, real quick, we're short a couple workers out in the parking lot. You think you could go paint some lines? Hey, real quick, they're running short on on ambulance drivers. Do you think you could go drive? No, because my job is the doctor. And so I'm a doctor of education. No, I'm really not a doctor. That's different. But I know what my job is. So to me, John, it's about having that conversation. It's about getting together with your fellow teachers, figuring if this is a pain point for everyone else and why, and then stating your case to administration and then coming up with an answer for how to do that better. I've always gotten a better ROI in school when I don't just point out problems, but I have a solution for them. That has helped me greatly. Hit a wife.
All right. Our next one comes up from Allison. Okay. White girl freshman mouthing N-word for attention and against a person. Lord. How to get students to recognize and reflect on power and negative effects of acts like this.
So, Allison, I think, first of all, this is a larger conversation than just a teacher as well, right? Seems like a theme for the day. This is tying it into folks that are larger decision makers, because those folks often have access to services that teachers don't have. So if this was in my school, or if I was in a school like that, I would go to the counselor or the social worker at the school, let them know. I'd make sure that this was written up every single time that it happened, just for documentation's sake, so that we had something on file and it wasn't like a mystery. There needs to be a phone call made home. I would not make that phone call. I would tell the principal or the assistant principal or whoever's in charge of discipline, make that phone call, so that what we're doing is we're tracking things, right? So this is why I think emails are better than phone calls a lot of time. We have things in writing. We have things down. We know what's going on. And then we are pulling in all necessary parties to make sure that this student is getting what they need, and that the ripple effects of this are being taken care of as well, to the extent at which we know they are. So you have a white kid in class using the N-word, and then what are the other students? What about any students of color that are in that classroom, right? So like it's stopping the behavior, it's treating what's happening there, but then it's also making sure that this word is not damaging anyone else, at this frame of mind. Because what we don't want to do as a school is feel like, or put the messaging out there in our actions or our inaction, that this is okay. So it's really like making sure that all those things are met. So that's what I would that's how I would kind of first handle that. And then for me, it's really letting kids know that like these things don't happen in my classroom. Like I'm just like the school is gonna, like, I don't know how your school's handling it, but for me, it's like, this is unacceptable. I don't allow this sort of behavior to happen. So and so that's, yeah, I take it right to the top.
Absolutely. All right. Our next question comes from Jess, asking, what do you do when you have multiple ADHD kids in your class who can't seem to focus unless they are playing teaching assistant and are up front and center of the class?
So this is, it's tricky, right? Because we don't make school for kids with ADHD. We don't make school for kids that are a lot of like are slightly left of center, and what I mean by that is like they don't fit the typical bill of what school was created for. So how do we create a safe space for students that need more than what average school offers? I think one of the things is it's constantly moving, right? So my classes, I have a classroom management video that I put out years ago. It's so long ago that I have brown hair in it. That talks a little bit to this, where it's in classes where none of my classes are identical in what we accomplish every day. They are not identical in how those things are implemented or rolled out. So when I have classes with a number of students that are like there's a lot of ADHD in there. There's a lot of ADD. There's a lot of processing issues, disorder, like kids that like just take a moment. They need an extra beat to understand what's going on. We are, I think, creating classes that move a little bit quicker and check for understanding more often, so we're sure that kids are on task. It's also just worth sitting down, whether it's after school, during lunch, somewhere where you can just have a minute to talk to those students and say, hey, look, this is what I'm noticing in class. And I can't have you do teacher assistant all the time. I can't have you stand in front of the classroom teaching all the time. I can't have you doing this, that, and the other thing all the time. What can we do? What would help you? I would also, I don't know why my computer is doing this, but
it keeps acting crazy.
Yeah, it keeps being nuts. So okay, it's also contacting the parents of those students and seeing, hey, this is what I'm noticing in class. And it's not bad. It's not even a bad thing, right? I'm just noticing this behavior in class, and I just want to help your student to find success. Has anything in the past helped? Or is there anything that works at home that might help me to help your child to be as successful as possible? So now parents are on the same wavelength, and they know you're not coming for their kid, right? This is like behavior that has probably gotten their child in trouble before, and now we're trying to figure out a solution. And then asking other teachers. I think like this is like a grade level meeting moment where we look at the grade level. We say, hey, can we identify these certain kids? And what are some policies, procedures, routines that are helping those students to find success in certain classes? And then what's not working? So for me, it's having a lot of fidgets, but silent fidgets in my classroom. I don't do like fidget spinners. I think no rubber bands, nothing that can be shot or thrown. It's a lot of pipe cleaners. It's a lot of pieces of Velcro under desks. It's stand-up desks that I made very, very cheaply for my class. Basically, you can get any coffee table at any thrift store and to put taller legs, bam, stand-up desk. And so creating spaces for kids, but then at some level knowing like, look, I can give you all of these opportunities to re-engage, to engage and re-engage and move around and try and do the best. But ultimately, there's only so much that we're going to be able to do. So we need to figure out how is this going to best help you. So, or like how like you need to show up also. So it's having some of those conversations, I think, with students, and, you know, possibly your special education department too. There might be money there for resources for stuff that's in your classroom for, you know, or you could go to the special ed department. I've done this many times also. And look, I taught in a poor school. I taught like we did not have money, but that doesn't mean there's no money ever. There's money for stuff. I think people just don't ask enough for it. Or I want a very specific thing. Hey, I need to put in a purchase requisition because I need 1,000 like pipe cleaners. Or I put in a thing every year for pens, because kids that are their brains going a mile a minute. They are constantly paying attention to every single other thing, that they're not medicated. They don't have any coping skills, or doesn't seem like it anyway, right? I'm not sure about every student, but then like those same students come to class without a pen every day. Then I need to go get a pen. Then I got to leave the classroom. I'm going to see 27 other things that are going to distract me before I come back to class with a pen. And then did I check that this pen even worked, or I forgot, wait, what did I leave classroom for? So then I just get 1,000 pens every year. I get the cheapest pens possible, so I can just give them to kids every day, and it's not even a problem. So but that was, I need to go to the special education department, say I'm putting in a purchase requisition. I need 1,000 pens because I can't keep sending Aaron out every single day to find a pen, or he's going to eat it before tomorrow. And so it was trying to help kids in that way as well. But it's not just identifying problems; it's coming up with solutions, like I said before, and then being able to ask for those solutions. Before you get into your next question, can I talk about something real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
So I am going to put a link real quick in the chat. Tuesday night, February 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are doing a free masterclass. This is the longest link possible.
I need to figure out how to make a short one. I'm sure everybody knows how to do it.
I should have taken care of it and he didn't. But what we're trying to do is, we are creating, these might end up being monthly if people sign up, right? Are free masterclasses that are going to hone in on a specific problem and go deep. A lot of times on YouTube, I can't go super deep because it's like, I don't want to make a 60-minute video. I don't think it's something that folks are going to watch. So if I have you sign up for a masterclass, this is a masterclass. It's only 30 minutes long, which in Reynolds time means they'll probably be like 45 minutes long at least. There's resources that come with it. And it is how to get your class back. It is February. And I realize that some of you, your classroom feels like a dumpster fire. And so or it feels really, really good, but it's not great. And so I want to talk to you about like 2 keys that I have that are going to help you to show up and have a great rest of your year. February there's too much time left, gang, to be thinking about how to just hang in there for the rest of the year. No one wants to hang in for 5 months, 4 months, whatever you have left of school. So what we want to do is help you in little shifts, right? Small tweaks lead to giant peaks. And so what we're trying to do is create these small systematic ways that you can do better in class and feel good, feel excited about showing up. So on Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are doing the How to Get Your Class Back Masterclass. And so it is free. Tell your friends, tell your admin, tell your buddies, bring your mom. You know what I mean? Bring everyone along with you. It's going to be great.
All right. Are you ready for our next question?
Yes, I am.
Oh, no, I lost it.
Take your time there, love.
Sorry. Here we go.
You're great. Look at all the stuff you had to learn how to do to be able to do this.
I know.
You're really over here on you're like a mastermind over here.
I try. Nobody really realizes where I came from in the background of this. I don't do technology, so I'm not a teacher. I wasn't a teacher.
You're full Lopez.
I took care of my babies until they went to school. And then I went and shifted to taking care of elderly folks. And so this world is not my jam. So
both of which
I
are
try
not
my
really
best.
Technologically.
No, neither one of them required Google Drives, and this whole world is confusing to me.
I loved when you worked with old people and they pull out their flip phones and I'm like,
I love it. They're my fave.
Wait, what's your hello?
All right. Next question is coming up from Jacob. He's
Yes.
asking, you mentioned in the past how over the years you've changed your grading system. Can you talk a little bit more about that, particularly about what you do when a student is absent?
So this is actually an upcoming video that's on my list of upcoming videos, which is going to be like a handful of things that I've changed since I started doing YouTube. Even that I have videos of things I no longer do and I don't even know they're no longer best practice for me. They might be best practice for someone else, but that's a whole upcoming video that causes me to go through all the old stuff. So grade systems, I used to do things like I did weighted grades for a long time. I no longer believe in that weighted grades, at least for my students, are best practice, because weighted grades, unless teachers are really dialed in, which I don't think most teachers are because there's not enough time to be, you would, for weighted grades to really make sense, it would have to be like, here's how many classwork assignments you're getting, here's how many homework assignments, how many quizzes, how many tests, so that we already know on the front end, big picture, what's going to lead to my best possible grade. And so the problem that I've seen is that folks have weighted grades and classwork is worth like, let's say 20% or 15%. Then you have things like participation, which why isn't that tied into classwork? We're not really sure, but that's worth 10%. So you have a kid that shows up, that participates every day, does the work in class every day, but they struggle with anxiety around test taking. So then they take a test and that thing's worth 50% of their grade. And now all of a sudden they can't understand why I'm failing, but I show up every day. I'm on time. I am engaged. I'm asking questions. I'm being an active participant in my own learning process. And then I took a test and I tanked. I don't understand how this happens. So instead, what I do is points. It is all point based. Now, tests are typically worth more points. And so that makes sense to students because students can understand that, like, if I dunk or if I do a layup, I'm getting a point. Now, I'm a little bit out of my wheelhouse here because I don't watch basketball, but like it's different than a 3-pointer, right? And so having students that understand point levels makes a whole lot more sense to kids that I've seen than weighted grades. Kids always get lost in weighted grades. Now, with kids that are absent, Jacob, it goes a couple of different ways. I've had students, probably the most aggravated I ever had my whole grade level team get with me was I had a student that got into a skateboarding accident, went headfirst into the side of a car, was out of school for a month, had a concussion. I excused that student of all the work they had for that month. And there was a lot of pushback, right? And I wasn't told that I wasn't allowed to do it because I would have done it anyway. But like, my reasoning was, you had a concussion. The last thing I'm going to have you do is spend extra hours every night reading small words, so that your head's going to hurt even more. So it's like, I'm not going to do that. So I excused you from it. The other thing is that student as well was, had repeated my class, at least once before. And he was a multiple time, like he was a Reynolds recurring cast member. And so I already knew that what was going to happen if I gave him all that work, because I saw his grades before. This is a kid that's going to get to the end of the school year with like a 13. So if I can leverage, hey, I saw that you were out. I'm really sorry that you got hurt. Here's what I want you to do. I don't want any of that work. I just need to know that for the rest of the remainder of the school year, you're going to put your best in. And if you need something from me, you're going to come and see me, because I don't think that, like, I don't want to overwhelm you with that. That buys me good graces. That buys me respect. It buys me trust from students. And there's, I think we have to think sometimes too, like my daughter was, when she was out earlier in the year for COVID, the mountain of work that she was still responsible for. it just makes you not want to be out of school. It gives kids anxiety when you're out and you're actually sick, or you actually had to go to court for something, or you actually had a death in the family. It's like when you come back from a funeral, you shouldn't be met with 4 days of makeup work. I just think that there should be grace given to you that says, you know what? I'm really sorry that happened. As a matter of fact, today in class, enter in as you can and know that you don't have to make up anything, because that 4 days of work isn't going to break someone. They're not going to become a worse student because they didn't learn that. We go over things enough times in class. It's like, you'll figure it out. Don't even worry about it. If you want to do it, great. If you want to come in after school and do it with me, awesome. Let me put that to you. But I, by and large, don't do it. Now, if a kid was out because of something else, like if you're suspended, you're 100% required to do all the work that's in my class because you got yourself in trouble. Now I want you to feel that pain point a little bit. I typically give kids as many days as they were out to make up the work. But if I feel like it was a lot of work that they may have missed, I'll give them an extension and just say, hey, look, I need this by this date. Jacob, here's the important thing, and a lot of schools don't like this. I put zeros in for all those assignments because blank grades do not build a sense of urgency. Zeros do. So I put those zeros in and I put a note in there. Student has until this time to hand in this grade. I also send email to the parent. I CC the principal or the vice principal on it, and I CC the student so that everyone knows here's where the grades are, here's what needs to get done, this is the date that it needs to get finished by, and there are zeros in the grade book only as placeholders. Once those grades are handed in, those zeros will go away. If those grades are not or the work's not handed in, then those zeros don't go away. But what I don't want to have happen is you give a kid 2 weeks to make something up, they hand in some of that work, the work that they didn't get, now there's zeros in there, the grade can only go down. The way I'm creating it, when we put zeros in as placeholders, the grade can only go up. That's it. You can only get better. And so that I prefer that, and I've had a lot more success with that, even though my school has told me, last year they told me I wasn't allowed to do it, but I did it anyway.
That's one of those things that you just do anyway because you're like, nope, it serves the student better.
But when we say that, right, you have to know your students. When you know your students, you can do things that are a little bit different because I know what's going to help you. And so that's part of the reason that building relationships is so utterly important. We don't build relationships just so we can have fun or just because it's cool or like, I don't know, like for any other reason. We build relationships because it allows us to know who our students are. We build relationships because then once we know who someone is, we know how to teach them. We know what they're interested in. We know what to connect it to. And so that's going to just help us in the classroom more than it's going to hurt us.
Absolutely. Okay. Our next question is coming from Robin asking, how do you fit in studying a teaching qualify and teaching?
So she's trying to get teaching qualifications.
Yeah, right. How do you do that and I guess teach at the same time?
I'm going to say 1, coffee helps. I think
it's the real answer.
Robin, it's mastering your schedule. You have to be a master of your calendar. And so for me, that is like, I have a lot of big things coming up, right? I have this MasterClass that I'm doing on Tuesday next weekend. Of all the weekends for Get Your Teach On to ask me to go do Get Your Teach On, Hope Week King's company, they do these mini professional development things all over the place, right? And so I am flying to Nebraska on the day that my Eagles are playing in. And look, I'll be honest with you. One of the biggest reasons the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl is because I've been yelling at them from my living room all year. I think that has motivated them to such a state that they are now going to the Super Bowl. So I will be in Nebraska with 7 other people at some rando bar that like of non-Eagles fans that like really celebrate the Eagles, right? So there's that coming up. I have things to do with my kids that are coming up. I have other like all of these kind of business things in our business that need to happen in a timely manner. And so when I start thinking about it, I start freaking out. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of it's the mini PD that I'm doing tomorrow morning that's going on. It's all of these things. But Robin, if I can, people often overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do in a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year. So I know that tomorrow morning I will put an hour into when I wake up. That's my freshest time. So I already know what's going to work for me. I will get up early. I'll put an hour of just focusing on the mini PD for the day. That's all I need. I know that I probably like, and even if it's not done, an hour is a good amount of time that even if I have to tack on something else, that is when I'm in the tight bubble of total focus with one thing for an hour with nothing else distracting me, then that really helps me. The other thing is knowing that, like, so if that's an hour, what else can I do for an hour? What else can I do for an hour? What else can I do for an hour? So all of my day is I try and break it up into 60-minute chunks. And then if I work an 8-hour day, that's 8 1-hour chunks. So for school, it is finding ways, and a little bit of this is what we're going to be talking about at the master class on Tuesday, but it's this idea of mastering your schedule. Or we made a workshop earlier in the year around lesson planning, which is still available. We're actually getting that built into a website now, but if you email us, I can send you the link for it. It's creating lesson plans that are systematized and then optimized over time, so you're not recreating the wheel. And so that's what it is. To me, it's always mastering your schedule. It's looking at your calendar and getting really intentional about every hour of your day. So, and then that's how I fit everything in. So I hear you. It is a lot, but know this: it doesn't have to be a lot forever if you can master your calendar. That's how I do it.
It's really the only way. I
hate that answer.
I hate that answer. I really do. Like, I just want to say it is the answer, but it's like one that I hate.
Systems for me are the answer to everything. It's how I get everything done.
Well, I think it's the only way. It's the only possible answer. You have to just schedule your time.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to actually get a lot done and accomplish a lot. And not everybody has to live like that if you don't have a lot going on, right? It's seasons. It's knowing that. Yeah. That helps me to like be okay with that answer, I think. All right. Sophia is up next asking, what advice do you have for sharing that you don't feel supported and are not getting supported? The support promised. I'm trying to advocate for myself, but I feel like I'm not being heard.
Sophia, I think there's a couple of things at play here, right? Whenever I feel like I'm not getting kind of the love or support that I was told I would get or that I wish I would get, is one is reminding people. I think that we often, if we're talking about administration, right? Administration is so busy with so many things, right? Especially someone like an assistant principal or a dean that's in charge of like discipline or something like that. There's so many things popping off every single day that it's like the fact that you forgot about me is easy. So one of the ways I worked with a company, I don't know what company we worked with, but you're going to know what I'm talking about in a second.
Yeah,
the woman that sent those really kind emails all the time when we were late with our deliverables, and she was like, "Hey, just want to pop up to the top of your inbox again, and then, like, let me know when we can talk about this, or let me know if you need anything from me or whatever." Right? And I never thought of doing that. So this is my go-to all the time. If I send,
it's so kind.
If I need the school to pay me for something, if a check wasn't done, if I need like a yes or no back on a field trip that I was taking or on a purchase that I wanted to make, I just simply write an email. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I just wanted to pop up back to the top of your inbox because I'm and curious about like when we can talk about this, when we can address this, when I might know when there's an answer, without any pressure. I'm not saying like I need to know by the end of the day. I'm just popping up to the top of your inbox again. And I know for me in real life, I have like 30 text messages. This is no nonsense. I have like 30 text messages on my phone right now that are not read. Part of that is because I have an iPhone and they don't let you set it back to unread. And so like sometimes you open up a thing and it's such a pain in the butt, man.
Yeah.
So what I do instead is I leave them unread, but then I just don't get to them all the time. But if someone texts me back and they're like, hey, I'm wondering where we are with this, you always get my answer because I'm like, oh, that's my bad.
Yeah, my messages are sitting around. They hover around about 100 in my inbox.
Yeah.
And I see them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get to this.
So you have 100 unread text messages?
Yeah, but I'm part of groups and like other things.
Oh, yeah, you are.
So I know what most of them are. It's not quite that bad. But
the other thing is it's really teaching people what we need. It is getting over, I think a lot of this is getting over, for me anyway, has been getting over my own stuff, my own feelings of not feeling important enough, not feeling like I should be asking this. Should I have asked that? Maybe they're not getting back. It's like stopping all that speculation, just shutting it down. And I just tell it to shut up. I tell myself to shut. I tell my brain to shut up all the time. Shut up. We're not going there. I'm not believing that. I'm not doing that. Done. And so it is gently going to folks and reminding them. But I like to remind folks not from a place of need or greed, but just as, hey, I'm just coming in. Hey, wondering what's going on with this. How's your day going? How was your weekend? Cool. Hey, I just wanted to check in, see where you were with that thing we talked about the other day. And I guarantee most folks are going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So I always remind folks without ill intent, without suspecting that they just forgot about me or something like that. And then maybe it's worth a conversation with some of your staff to figure out, like, what are some ways that we can do this better? What are some ways that, like, we could meet some of our own needs or someone else could meet some of these needs? So I don't have to, like, because there are certain folks in your school that either everything falls onto or they take everything on. I had a friend I worked with that just took everything on and then couldn't do anything well. But it was so hard for her to say no. It was so hard for her to not sign up for something that she just took all these assignments on. And then it was like, you're just not, like, you're not really doing any of this stuff like particularly well. Let's take some of this off of you. There's other people. We could spread the wealth and take care of each other. What you got?
All right. Next one comes from Paris asking, any advice on what to do if you are going on paternity leave? I plan on being out starting April and I won't be back until the next school year.
First of all, what magical place are you living in? In the US, are like, you have like 2 days. I feel like I got 5 days off when we had a baby.
Yeah, something crazy.
Yeah, but like other places in the world, they're like, oh no, you have a family. Take care of them. So Marley was born, I think I was back at school for a week, maybe 2. Maybe I think it was a week. And then I was out for a week. And I thought, and it was only like my 3rd year of teaching. I was like, oh my gosh, this is 3rd or 4th year. It was like not enough time that I felt, it was like I just got it, like built up all the energy, got everyone all excited. And guess what? You have sub for a week. And so, and then what am I going to come back to? What if that sub was terrible? And now it's a nightmare in here. I think it's creating, I would create lessons that were highly systematized, right? There was a great level of consistency in there that students knew exactly what they had to do and they didn't have to lean on the sub too much. Sometimes you get a sub that's knowledgeable in your content area and sometimes you don't. If you're going to be out between April and the end of the year, they might get a long-term sub that actually has some knowledge around that. But I always build my lessons just in case someone does not. And so I don't want a lot of work to fall on anyone else or on me. So I don't want to have to, like, if I come back, even if you're going to be out for like 2 weeks or for whatever reason, that I don't want to come back and I have a mountain of work. I want to come back and ease right back into what I'm doing. So I'm thinking about ways that, like, whether it's like even though some of these are they're not my go-to normally, right? But I think of like an IXL or something that can answer itself, something that students are going to hit submit at the end. It's going to calculate a score and give them back their feedback, but something that is going to be easier for folks to do, but that students are still learning. That's my best guess. The only other thing I'm thinking about that might be of value to you is to think of, or go to look in your school and see who else has been out for that extended period of time at your specific location, because they're going to know your students, what the parents' needs are. Our parents, like right now, my daughter has a long-term sub that all they do is copy things out of textbook every day. That's all they do in class. It's such nonsense. It's the dumbest thing ever. And so, but the guy's not a science teacher. And so, and they got this surprise. There's something that happened at the school. Someone got in trouble. All of a sudden there's a long-term sub that doesn't teach science and doesn't talk to the students. So it's like, so I want to give something meaningful, but that's your school. Someone in your school is going to know your school culture, your school needs, and your students' needs. And so that's, I would reach out to someone like that as well.
All right, here's a rando question.
Do it.
But these are our vests. It's from Lori. Driving me nuts. What are the triangular things on your wall?
These?
I think those.
They're flying books.
Yeah.
These are books, actual books that I took the pages and looped them so that they make this formation. And in my classroom, I had this giant driftwood tree, and I had tons of flying. I probably had 15 flying books hanging from my ceiling in my classroom.
Do you think there were that many?
Yeah, I think there were that many. I always wanted to have more.
I know,
but they're really difficult to hang up, and surprisingly, no one ever touched them.
Like, I know. Kids touch everything. Pretty impressive.
No student ever tried to jump up and like tap a book real quick or something like that.
And I'm famous for trusting your students to put a poster lower, put this here, it'll be okay.
Everything in your classroom should be out of hand reach of students, because they will do it whether it's willingly or unwilling. They might just be mindlessly like touching your poster, and then next thing you know, it's all ripped and screwed up and coming off the wall. So I hang everything up high. But
that's why hanging them in frames are helpful. But yeah, so you can find a video on YouTube.
I have a video on YouTube.
On how to make those, actually.
Yeah.
You do like step by step, which is fun. That was a fun video, right?
It was.
All right, let's looking for a question. Sorry. There's so much fun comments that happen in the so much fun community like connection in the comments.
I love it. Sometimes I wish I could be a part of that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fun. Me too. I'm just not that fast of a typer. All right. Nassim is asking, where, what, and how do you make your lunches for school?
So first of all, here is in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
The video for the how to make those flying books and how to make these floating bookshelves as well. I show people how to do it as well. Where, what, and how do you make your lunches for school? I don't make them. I just buy them. And so I buy like a prepackaged salad, an RX bar, and then I make a smoothie with frozen mixed fruit, kale, athletic greens, a banana, a little bit of honey.
And that's it. And almond milk.
And almond milk, yeah. And then I drink that.
I came up with that recipe. I don't even know if it's good. It just is really low sugar, but it
has a ton of nutrients in it too.
Yeah, it does. It's like
plus
super high
I
nutrients.
love athletic greens. I'm not affiliated with them at this time, but I'm working on it. But because I've been using it for years, and athletic greens is essentially like a green powder. Put 1 scoop. You're supposed to put it in 8 ounces of water. I did it last week for the first time because I was out of something for my smoothie. So I was like, I'll just put it in water and drink it. And it tasted like you're just drinking chlorophyll. You're really selling it. It was like earth. It's horrible. It's actually not that bad. I don't think I did it I did it a few times. You have to do it cold. On ice helps. There's keys. Look, that's not my preferred. I actually use it as well. And I mix it in with pineapple juice and I love it. It's good that way. No, it was. I don't know how you do it. I don't even know how you drink that smoothie, to be honest. I made this recipe for you, and I remember you tried it. And I was like, no, I can't. I did it for like a week, and I was like, okay, I'm good. When you told me to drink apple cider vinegar every morning, I did. I did it like a shot. I've done all kinds. And then you stopped it when we did juicing fast, and I was like, wait, we're not still juicing anymore, like. Oh, you get me to do a lot of weird stuff. That horrible toothpaste you bought one time, it tastes like clay and sea salt married one another. Oh my gosh, that stuff is horrible. Oh gosh. I think you are you some kind of you do this secret thing where you're just like, I wonder what else I could get him. No, I just really love you and I want you longevity for you. Weird crap. Okay, next question. All right, it's Nassim again. So really, Nassim, he doesn't do a whole lot for lunch. That was lunch. Yeah, it's the previous question. Yeah, because I want time back. I don't want to make a lunch. I want to throw it in a bag and leave. Yeah. All right. Next up, he's asking again, what other websites
do you use to bring resources for your classroom aside from Donors Choose?
I don't. I either ask the school for money. I've done Donors Choose, or the one I've gotten the biggest ROI on is going to stores and asking them if they'll donate stuff. Hey, I'm a high school teacher. I teach 9th grade English at, whatever school you're at. And then here's what I'm trying to do for my students. My students don't know how fruits and vegetables grow. We were talking about it in class, and most of my students don't know that you can grow celery. They don't know that you can grow lettuce. They don't know that lettuce doesn't even take that long to grow. And so I'm trying to create a small community garden. I'm trying to create, we're doing a activity around leadership. We're going to do whatever we're doing, and then asking for the stuff. And so often you get it because it's a tax write-off. And most, especially big box stores, so like Home Depot and Lowe's, I've had the greatest ROI on, but they have money set aside and they have told me this, no one asks for it because no one knows to ask for it. So I just go there, pitch them, always talk to a manager. Never talk to a department head or an assistant manager. You want to talk to decision makers. So is your manager in? I'm a local high school teacher and I had a question for them. And then pitch them your idea. And so that's what I do. And I already have out, like, when they go, well, what kind of stuff would you need? Well, I already have the document right here. Here's all the stuff. It would only cost this much. And remember that when stores are selling things, that they get them for so much cheaper, right? So they're like getting a tax write-off that's at cost. So they're not paying, like I once went to Home Depot and I think they gave me like $1,500 worth of supplies for free. That was the first time I ever went. And they said, yeah, just make up an itemized list, show it to us. I showed them and they're like, yeah. Especially if it's Home Depot brand. So I'm also thinking about one of the things ideas I have right now is we have a new Joann fabric near us. That is ballin'. It is the most beautiful craft store I've ever been in my life. But they now have, I don't know that they used to, all this name like Joann fabric brand stuff. That stuff costs them nothing to give away. And so if you can just do it and then say, hey, we'll make a post, or we'll thank you, or we'll, this is the Home Depot community garden, or the Boys Latin community garden brought to you by Home Depot. And so it's just good news for them. And so that's how I've gotten a lot of free stuff over the years.
All right, your next question. Sorry, I was busy.
Do it, wife. I'm going to remind people again that, if you have not signed up yet, you can sign up for our the How to Get Your Class Back MasterClass, which is happening on Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m. Here is the longest URL ever that you can use to sign up. You just click on it. It's completely free. It's 30 minutes, which in Reynolds time means it's about 45 minutes. And so I'm going to talk to you just about like 2 keys that I think you can use so that you can thrive for the rest of the school year and not just survive the rest of the school year.
It's funny. I just put that in the comments.
Here's what I want you to think about, folks. You show up to this free masterclass. I want you to think about all the money that you're saving that would have gone to wine. And you're just saving all that wine money now because you're just showing up and feeling better about school.
Right. You're handling it.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Boland, I have his question up there already, asking, how do you know you are the school that fits you?
So this is a good question, dude. Now, gosh, there's a lot of things that come to mind when I think of this, but I think one of those ways is, what does your intuition tell you? The older I get, the more I gotta feel it. I feel it in my gut that this is the right spot for me, or it's not the right spot. I feel like now for me, that's more of a God thing. But like, even if that's not your jam, you don't consider yourself a particularly spiritual person, intuition's everything. It's just like, gosh, if I could go back, my kids would have been raised more on intuition. I'd definitely listen to anything my wife had to say about my kids, because she's always right when it comes. She's like, I have a feeling we should be doing this. And, lo and behold, 99% of the time she's right. 1% of the time I'm right. But and that's just something I would listen to. It's, do their values and ideals match up with what yours line up with? So another video that's coming out is, I've gotten a lot of questions, or there's been a lot of speculation as to why I left school. I didn't leave the classroom because of my school. I left my school because of my school. Now, if I had felt that my calling was to stay in the classroom, I would have gone to another school. But I don't. I feel like teacher retention is so unbelievably low right now. And I see it in our Facebook group. I see it in our comments. I see it in the news and everywhere else, that I want, how do I help kids? Education's only ever about students, but that can only happen if teachers are getting all the love and support that they can get. And that's often not happening in schools in real time. So how do I grassroots that? How am I going to like guerrilla warfare that? Is that I'm going to help teachers online to be the teachers that they're called to be. And so that's what I'm moving into. So that being said, I just knew that at one time my school was a fit for me. They were ethical. They had values. They said what they were going to do, and then they did it. It attracted good people. So I will say this, Mr. Bolin, that sometimes a school can feel like it's not a particularly good fit, but that neighborhood, that population, that group of students might feel like it's the right fit for you. Do you have enough people in your school that you can really get down with in a heavy way that are going to help you to stay there? So there have been moments in my previous school's history where I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like leadership was on top of things. I didn't feel like we were making all the right decisions. Now, we didn't go to the level at which, when I left, that was the most deplorable, and I could never back anything that they were doing there. However, it was, what kept me there was that there was the meeting after the meeting. There would be the meeting about, here's what happened, here's this kid, here's the situation, here's what's going on, here's what we're going to do about it. And then when everyone left and those other 5 people were like checking the door, all right, everyone's gone. What's the real, how are we really handling this? How are we really supporting this kid? How are we really supporting this family? How are we really going to get down and do stuff? And so that was enough of like that. This is like the A-Team, the Avengers group that I want to be a part of. And then we can really still get really good stuff done. That was enough to keep me at my school for several years when we were going like flaming through principals.
All right. Well, I think we've been on for a little over an hour, so let's end with Mr. Bolin actually has a fun one to end on. He says, fun one. How do you feel the Eagles will do?
I think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh man, that was too fast.
Yeah, no,
no.
Look,
I pretty much believe that too.
How can I not? Right. So it's like, here's what I do. And it's not just because, it's not for any other reason than, look, this is where I come from. I gotta have belief, right? This is like, when my students come into my classroom, what do I think they're going to do with their lives? I think they're going to win. I think they're going to live wildly successful, creative, and incredible lives, right? Because you just got it. Like, what's my alternative? I got to believe. And so the last time that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, we were not, there's no way we, like, that logistically, no one believed that we were going to win except for people from Philly, right? Like, that was, and there were parts of that game that were scary. That was one of the best Super Bowls, though, because we were the total underdog. And so one of the things I love about Philadelphia is that we have been the underdog in so many different areas. And then we just make movies about underdogs, right? Like, how many Rocky movies have come out, or Creed movies, total underdogs. Philly loves that stuff. And you learn to start loving it. You learn to start going in and you're ride or die all day with your team. And when we don't like you, we will tell you. It gets crazy.
It's a Philly thing. Like, it's legit. Like, when you see that, I don't know if people see that meme around, but like around us, it's like, no, people tag everything. It's a Philly thing. It really is a Philly thing. Like, yeah. Philly is just, their fans are crazy.
I will be in Nebraska with my hoodie on at the Roadhouse Bar and Grill or whatever, like, some Applebee's at a truck stop. Because it's out there. So cool. Well, look, gang, please, if you need it, or if you know someone that needs it, please come to our masterclass. It is happening this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I for sure talked about this earlier. We are changing the time of Sunday Night Teacher Talk yet again, because our church, we're part of Change Church, right? Here in New Jersey, and there's one in Atlanta. And it has been growing at such an enormous capacity that they keep changing the times of the meetings.
Handle the flow of people.
Because there's too many people that are showing up and they're having to turn away hundreds of cars every week. So it's like this thing. So now they moved that to 11:30 it starts, which means I'd never be able to go. And I've talked about this before. My values are God is first, then it is me, then my wife, then my kids. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I have to put that part first. It's what allows me to do every single other thing that I do. So we're pushing this back next week. We'll be at 2 p.m., which is weird because it's Super Bowl Sunday. All 4 of us will be on here.
Should we even have it next Sunday?
I'm going to be sitting in Nebraska.
You're going to be watching the game with everybody else in the world.
Yeah. If we don't end up doing it,
it'll be on the community tab on the YouTube page. We will put an announcement there and in the
My
Facebook
plan
group.
is to show up anyway, though. So we'll be showing up next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's it. Anything else we have for people?
No. Have a great week, and we hope it's the best.
I hope it is.
Keep going, folks.
Keep going. You got this. All right. I'll see you tomorrow for PD, 11 a.m. Later, gang.
Peace.